So today we're going to be talking about how to price up your handmade jewellery, and I'm going to be specifically looking at UV resin jewellery, but the same principles can apply to anything that you're making with resin. Now, pricing handmade jewellery can be a difficult task, but actually you can make it really simple and something that you can use constantly to ensure that you're covering all your costs and making a profit, because it's really important that if we're going to do this as a business, that we're selling stuff and making a profit on it. And there are a lot of hidden things in there that you might not realise are important to consider. So there's not only the cost of the materials, the effort that it takes, but there's also the time, and you need to value in your expertise as well, because that's really important. Because don't forget, you are an expert, and our biggest hurdle we have to face often is imposter syndrome. Don't let that get in the way of getting the right value for your products. And the other thing I also take into account is the current market trends, my target audience, and my competitors' prices, which is really important, because if we're all selling something similar and I'm like 10 or 15 pounds over their prices, I'm never going to sell mine. But also, I don't want to be too cheap either. I don't want to be cutting myself out of the market because I'm either too cheap or I'm not making a profit. These are all really important things to consider. You also need to consider the rarity of the products that you're using in there. So are you using gemstones and things like that? Time and effort involved in selling the pieces as well needs to be put in there, because that's all your time as well. So how long it takes to upload to your website, take photographs of it, all those sorts of things, and your time at fairs and places like that where you're selling. Because don't forget, you're working. For one-of-a-kind unique pieces, for instance, I have a higher price because they're more desirable. But if I'm creating a set or there's several pieces that are very similar, then I tend to have them at a lower price. They're the things that are accessible to a broader audience as well. Additionally, I may offer discounts on things, so I may put a 10% discount on something, or if people are buying in bulk, then I'll adjust the price accordingly as well. Now, if I'm using nail art, this stuff is really reasonably priced if I'm using this in resin, and that's what I'm going to use today in the pieces I show you. So rather than individually valuing that, if I'm using that along with these colours, which do last a long time, I will put products used, generic, and then I will charge that out at 25 pence per piece of jewellery, because I know that'll easily cover what I'm doing there. Because these moulds don't last forever, we do have to buy them, we do have to replace them. I will also add on, for the mould that I'm using, another 25 pence on each piece. The other thing that covers is things like gloves and lights for curing the UV resin. So I'll then take into account the time that it takes for me to do these pieces. Now, if I'm doing more than one piece at a time, then obviously you can get it done a lot quicker. So I'm thinking I want to make these pendants here today. I'm going to be using two different types of resin here. One of them, which is the Classic by J. Diction, and the great thing is you can buy that in much bigger bottles and it's much more economical. But I'm going to work it all out on these 100-gram bottles for you. I've already looked at the time and I know what time I started making these items. So I know how long it takes me to make these, so I can calculate my time into these things. For jewellery makers, what I do recommend is that you be a little bit flexible with your pricing as well. You've got to look at what the market's doing and who your target audience is. If your target audience are more the people that don't have a great deal of disposable income, then overpricing your products is not going to allow you to sell to them. You also need to consider the level of demand. Is there a demand for what you're making? If the demand is quite high at a quite low price, then that's great. You can sell lots and lots and lots, and you might be making a lower profit on them, but because you're selling a lot, you're bringing a lot more money in. But if something you're making, like other jewellery makers, silversmiths, goldsmiths and people like that, you know, it may take them a long, long time. Every piece is really unique and they might just have that one customer wanting that one piece. Therefore, they can charge a much higher premium on those things as well. And if you're making something for someone for, like a bride or a special occasion, they've commissioned you to make something for them. So don't undervalue what you're making for them and how they're prepared to pay for that. As long as you're not losing money and you're making a profit and you're covering your time, that's what we should be looking for. So I've got all my patterns in there now. That didn't take long, about 10 minutes. And the reason it only takes 10 minutes is because I have everything set up for me, ready to go when I want to work. I know exactly what I'm going to do, and then I do it. These ones will definitely feature at a craft fair sometime in the next couple of months. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that got me coffee. If you'd like to buy me a coffee to say thank you for this video or any of my videos or any of the support I give, the link for that is in the description below. And also thank you to all my members whose names are coming up now. So before I go ahead and put any finishings or anything on these, I need to weigh them to see how much resin I've used. I'm going to weigh the pendants separately from the earrings. They weigh 43 grams. I know there's a few embellishments in there, but I'm not worried about that. So I'm now going to write down I've used 43 grams of resin and I've made 10 items. Not doing them individually. I don't go down to that minutia. And then for the earrings, I've used 14 grams of resin for the set. And I'll write that down and I'll show you how I get to the final price at the end. It's taken me 30 minutes in total to make all these pieces. I've got a set of earrings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pendants. Now it's taken me a little bit more longer than normal because I've been stopping, I've been recording, and normally I would make probably a lot more earrings, probably 10 pairs of earrings as well, and that would normally take me about 30 minutes, but I'm pricing it up on what I've done now. So my time here is 30 minutes. So I've got 30 minutes there, and I always calculate whatever the time is it takes me to make, that's how long it's going to take me to sell. So either taking photographs, uploading them, or selling them on at a fair or somewhere like that. So again, I've put there 30 minutes. Now I normally have this all done on a spreadsheet, but I'm showing you how I do it now. So I have all my costings on a spreadsheet for different bits and pieces, like the bails and the earring backs and any other bits and pieces that I might be using. So I use those figures per item. So if we're going to work out the cost of these earrings, for instance, I know that those earring backs will cost me 5 pence each because I buy 100 of them for £5, so that's 5 pence each. So the earring backs for 2 of those, and I always do them per set, are 10 pence. So that's the earrings. I know for the earrings I used, because I weighed them, 14 grams of resin. I know that the resin costs me £7.50 for 100 grams, and I take it as that cost regardless of which of the UV resins I use. So that works out about 8 pence per gram. So if I've used 14 grams, all I need to do is times 8 pence by 14. So that works out at £1.12, and I now need to add my time in there. So it took me 30 minutes to make all these items, and I made 11 items. I work on £25 an hour, so that's £12.50. Divide that by the amount of items I made. My time costs £1.14 per item. Selling will be exactly the same thing, £1.14. 30 minutes at the same cost. I need to put my generic inserts in, 25 pence, and that's for the colour and the gold leaf in here. I then need to think about the packaging. Now, if I just do a simple bag, which is what I do most of the time, which is one of these types of bags, I will pop the earrings into one of these bags like this. I would send that out like that, and that costs me 5 pence. At a fair, I would also put them into something like that, so that would still cost me 5 pence. I know I've got to add my mould juice in there. That's 25 pence, and that is what my cost is. My time and everything for making that. So that comes to £4 and 5 pence. So I know I need to sell those for £4 and 5 pence. I'll be covering all my costs and making a profit. But I think, to be perfectly honest, that might be a little bit cheap. So knowing that, I will actually put those out at £4 and 99 pence. I've made my profit, plus I've made a little bit more, and that will compensate for something that, when I add it up, might be a little bit more expensive than what I thought it was going to be. So for instance, I love that pendant, really simple to make, came out lovely, both sides, but costs virtually nothing to make. That one is much nicer than possibly the smoky quartz one. So let's work out the price of that and I'll show you. So we know that we made 10 pendants using 43 grams of resin. So we divide that by 10, so that gives us 4.3 grams per pendant. And we're charging that out 8 pence a gram, so all we need to do is charge 4.3 by 8 pence, or 8 cents, whatever you're working in. It's all exactly the same. So we've used 35 pence worth of resin per per item. So now we need to go time, selling, generic insert, packaging, mould. Now for this one, we've got a pinch bail and we've also got a cord, and they're really, really cheap. I use quite good quality pinch bails so they don't come undone. And those pinch bails I get 15 for £7, so they work out at 45 pence each. And cord, I get 120 of those for £12, so they work out at 10 pence each. So I need to put that 10 pence each there. I know I'm going to put 25 pence on for wear and tear on my mould, and I know I'm going to put 5 pence on there for packaging, and I know I'm going to put 25 pence on there for the generic inserts into that, and all that was with a bit of UV resin colour I used in there. So that comes to total of £3.73. Now to me, that one there is worth more than £3.73. So I would look at that and I would say, right, I'm going to sell that at £4.99, including the chain. But that one I think is a lot smaller, and with a clasp on it, it's still going to work out at £3.73, so I'll probably charge £3.75 with a cord on it for that. So I'll look at these, as long as they're all priced up at over £3.73, then I'm really happy and I'm making a profit. I've covered my time, I've covered my expenses, and I've covered everything else that I need to cover. When you put it into effect, sometimes craft fairs, you have to pay to go into those. All these things help to pay for that craft fair as well. Now, I don't give free package and post if I do things on the internet. I charge plus package and post for things. I don't rip people off. I do it at whatever it's going to cost me to actually post these things through the post. I don't like charge another £3 package and post, but that's entirely up to you how you want to do that. If they order over £50 worth of stuff, then I generally do it free package and post. Pricing handmade jewellery doesn't need to be complex. What it needs is for you to be aware of all the costs that are involved in it. Make sure you've got a note of those down somewhere so you can have a clear level of understanding of what each piece costs. Now, I don't do this exactly for each piece, as you've seen in this video, but what it does allow me to do is be profitable and remain profitable for anything that I'm making and selling. And that allows me to remain in business and keep covering my costs, earning a living, which we all want to do, and be able to pay my bills, which we all want to do as well. So please, if you've got ideas or you do things differently to me, share your experiences in the comments. It'd be really interesting for me to read and for other people to read as well. Well, I hope you found that really useful. I'm glad I've been able to share that. Please boot the like button if you found that useful. Take care, enjoy your resin, make sure you make a profit. Bye.